You're all in for a real treat today as me and the team head over to the Wheatcroft Collection to move a Panther tank. It's clear this one is in dire need of some TLC, or in this case, some TWC. First job was to get the Foden connected to the holly bones and then drag it to the centre of the yard where we could perform a heavy lift. I was under strict instructions not to drive it over the drain covers. With the drain cover successfully destroyed, it was now time to get both lorries ready to do the trial lift. We estimate the Panther hull to weigh between 15 and 20 tonnes. Both wreckers were needed to do this lift, although each wrecker can lift 15 tonnes on its own.
That's all right then. Ready for the big day.
So it's the next morning and the Foden is single-handedly destroying the ozone layer. It's time to lift the Panther hull onto the trailer to take it over to One Fabrications to start the major welding. "15 cups of hot chocolate later, and the Foden had finally warmed itself up and stopped gassing us all out. And it was time to start the lifting process, but first we had to make sure that both cranes were perfectly in line before we started lifting, and make sure none of the chains were snagged anywhere sharp. Next job, we had to make sure that Adam's lorry was backed perfectly straight, so when we lifted it up, it was bang in the centre of the trailer. With the Panther hull now fully suspended in the air, Chris would back the trailer underneath and at the same time push the trolley out the way, just in case the chain was to fail, it won't come slamming down onto the floor. With the hull now dangling just about where we want it over the trailer, we get the heavy railway sleepers and slide them underneath just so it spreads the weight a bit better and makes it a little bit safer when we chain it down. You can see here the hull has took quite a big round to the rear of it there, but the rest of it is mostly in pretty good condition. Now when lowering it down, we could fine tune to get it exactly bang level where we wanted it on the trailer.
Not quite.
You're all I need this morning, you are. Come on. Are you using that red chain? Can we, you want what? We're going to need a long chain at the front.
While me and Adam chained down the front of the hull, Chris and Jack did the rear.
Come on, get out of my way.
You gonna go?
No.
No? No. Have you got... Oh, I'll tell you what. It's alright. I'll just put this one on, Jack.
Do you like that?
There's the MAN, isn't it? I got that wrong.
No, that's not. I think so. Yeah.
We're going to be so wrong.
No, I think it is.
Everyone's going to be screaming at us.
Well, it's fine. You've never done a German one before.
I'm going to have to do now.
Where is the big man?
Just looks like somebody's finger painted some cow.
That's exactly how they've done that.
With the hull all now chained down, it was time to fit the wide load markers. And we'd like to thank King Trailers in Market Harbour for sorting us out with 2 brand new ones. With the new wheel bearing fitting on the Land Rover, not by Jack, he would then lead the convoy on its way to One Fabrications. Me and Chris arrived first with the wreckers.
Enjoy that, Mr. Till?
And it wasn't long before Convoy Exceptionnel himself turned up with the Panther. And yes, for anyone wondering, that is the Robin, and it did pass its MOT just the other day. Right, so we've got the vehicle now in the shed, ready to start the heavy fabrication. But I thought it'd be quite interesting to actually hear a bit of the history about the vehicle that you know about. So, Kev.
Well, this is one of 4 that the Wheatcroft Collection have owned for some years. And because of commitments with other things, they've just stood probably 15, 18 years. So now we're in a position where we can start them. This is phase 1. This particular one is a late A, February 44, built by M&H. It originated from France. We believe it was knocked out and captured by the French, and at some point resurrected and used in French service. Later in its life, when it was decommissioned, it spent some time on a range, but fortunately not too, other than the front, not too badly hit.
So this was all range damage?
This was all range damage as far as we know. Other than that, it survived remarkably well. Because of the relationship we've got here and our previous experience with restoring armour, whilst it looks bad, it's quite an easy thing to repair. Just a lot of time in the workshop.
Do you think the hole down the side of the hull here could have been potential
This is
wall damage?
The only one that's not consistent with the other damage, so it's my belief that's probably what knocked it out. And because the French didn't go to war with it, I think it never got repaired because it would be behind the interlocking wheels. And I think it survived like that. I mean, you can see the whole thing is covered in spang marks from small arms fire, but likely that was on the range.
Yeah.
The front on this one has been shot at, and I think to test the reaction of various rounds to that armour plate and, you know, the sloped armour. Had it not gone to that range, it probably never would have survived.
Yeah. Credit, really.
It is to think after 80 years, you know, here we are dusting it off with a view of restoring it. I think it's a really exciting time. I think Panthers are not a common thing, but to be able to see one in this state is, you know, I think we're witnessing a bit of history here because it's not going to, you're not going to see it again.
How many would you say are surviving? Like, how many would you?
I should know, but I should know. I think it's in the, no, I think it's in the 40s.
Oh, really?
I think there's 43, 44 survivors, running less than a handful. I mean, our intention is that all our 4 will be restored with original engines and back to how they left the factory. So we've got early A, late A, mid D and a late G. So we kind of cover the whole range.
And is the engine in this the same engine as the Tiger? Or is it a different model?
No, it's basically the same engine. They tried to tune a bit more power out of them in the Tigers.
What would this weigh fully complete battle ready?
I believe they're around about 48 tons laden, ready to go to battle.
Whereas the King Tiger would be?
King Tiger is in the late 60s, early 70 tons, so it's a big difference.
Yeah.
And that's why the engines were stressed.
Because it was the same basic engine doing...
No, I think there was a plan to increase the engine capacity, but with the war there was no time for development. It just...
If a lot of people go on about the final drives being weaker, and I imagine you're going to remanufacture new parts. Will you be making any changes?
We're not going to reinvent it because we're not going to war. We want it to be as original as possible, and we strive to do that in everything we work on. We know that potentially it's a weak area, but like I say, we're not going to go over revving it. We're not going to go truly off-roading it.
No.
And I think if it's maintained and driven with respect. That's as good as anything.
So obviously it's quite stripped down at the minute. As far as parts, do you think you've got enough parts to fully complete it?
I've spent my entire life collecting parts, so I'm fairly confident we've got everything to finish all 4. And as the team are putting our stores together, we're cataloguing what we have, and components this very day are starting to go off to be restored.
Yep.
and it's just a program of learning what we're missing.
How much would you say roughly as a percentage have you had remanufactured from original parts?
Very little remanufactured. It's some of the tin work you've had to remake because it's rotted away, and finding new tin work, we do get lucky. I mean, we found a factory in southern Germany, absolute chocker full still of tin work for Tigers. I mean, hard to believe. But yeah, the tin work largely has been replaced. Beyond that, pistons, valves, springs, things like that, but not much bearings.
Torsion bars?
Torsion bars we've had to remake, and we found the original company that did that, and they've been made just to the same spec as original. So that's a logical. We are putting ours on new track because we want to use them, but for display purposes we have restored original track. So they'll sit on display with original track and roll off that onto the new track should we want to use it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for your time.
No, thank you, and thanks for what you've done. I mean, it's been a great team effort today. And
we thoroughly enjoyed it. It's definitely something different.
Yeah, not an everyday occurrence, is it?
No, not at all. And hopefully we'll be able to keep you up to date every now and again with progress on this vehicle.
Well, yeah, look forward to doing that with you.
That'll be quite interesting. Be an interesting build. We're not going to do it. We'll help people, but we're not doing it, so just making a point of that. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you again in another video.
Thank you.
So if you find yourself interested in Second World War German armour, make sure you go and follow the Wheatcroft Collection's Facebook page, as they are actually restoring 5 Tiger tanks currently, 4 Hetzers, 6 Panzer IVs and 8 Panzer III variants, amongst many other ongoing projects of all sorts of walks of history. If you are interested, I'll be sure to leave a link to their Facebook page in the description for this video. During the Second World War, they made just over 6,000 Panther tanks. And if you put that into perspective, the Americans managed to churn out 50,000 Shermans. However, the Panther, if it came across a Sherman, would turn it into mince meat. And that was because of its groundbreaking design that just made it years ahead of its rivals. It's unlikely we'll ever find the real history behind this vehicle and the men that crewed it. However, I find it very important that it gets restored, as history must be preserved. Panther track link from the Historia prize draw. Okay. Right, and while we're playing with Panthers, we've got the opportunity in this video, if you want to win a genuine Panther track link in a lovely box, numbered, number 1. And this is a genuine piece of very heavy Panther track link from the Wheatcroft Collection, and it has been laser etched or engraved to show its authenticity. And this is with our friends at the Historia prize draw, who will be raffling this off. So if you want your chance to win a genuine World War II Panther track link, pretty unusual, pretty cool, make sure you check the link in the description. You might end up with one of these in a very fancy box. What does that look like?